Urban Meyer is trending more than Taylor Swift and Deion Sanders these days. So what's really going on at Michigan State? All of the latest Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We always appreciate it. You know, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. We got a lot going on here. We're going to dive into this Urban Meyer story that's been floating around all week about Michigan State. We got an important slate of games coming up this weekend. Plus, there's a little bit of breaking news as we're putting this podcast together. We'll get to all of it in due time, and we'll close it out with our Pigskin picks as we head into the weekend. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way, you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. There's been a lot of speculation about Urban Meyer having interest in the Michigan State job following the recent firing of Mel Tucker. And as far as I could tell, these Urban Meyer to Michigan State rumors all stem from one radio guy who posted something on social media and said that the school was going to interview him. I don't think it's going to happen. Do you? But I do have an extensive list of pros and cons as to why it could happen or why it won't. First of all, if Urban has one more Power 5 coaching gig left in him, I don't think it's going to be at Michigan State. I don't. I really don't. But honestly, I can argue at length about both sides of that argument. And it's exactly what we're going to do right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right. Many have said that Urban Meyer's dream job is the Notre Dame job. But Notre Dame is winning right now. And it doesn't look like Marcus Freeman is going to go anywhere anytime soon. So Urban claims that he's currently happy as a Fox football analyst on TV. And following his Jacksonville Jaguars disaster, he can sit there content and wait out the Notre Dame job or whatever job he wants as long as he wants. So after all, there's a reason that Brian Kelly left Notre Dame, right? It was ultimately for money. Notre Dame historically has not paid top dollar for its football coaches. So Marcus Freeman stays, Marcus Freeman goes. I don't know what's going to happen there, but historically they don't pay. But maybe they would pay for a guy like Urban Meyer if Freeman did move on. Maybe, maybe not. But then right now, right there, there's a lot of moving parts right there for that scenario to come to fruition. So I'm not so sure that that's the path that we're all going to go down here. Look, Urban's comfortable now. Twice he has left coaching gigs at Florida and Ohio State, both places he won national championships at, by the way, allegedly due to stress-induced health situations. Now, at Fox, he reportedly makes about $7 million a year just to show up and talk football a dozen times a year on Saturday afternoon. That's right. He currently makes more than all but 5 Big Ten football coaches just chilling on TV. So you have to ask, why does he want to go back to a 100-hour work week again as a head coach? I don't know. That's up to him. That's inside of him. Only he really knows. So the question then becomes, where could he really go? Now, some of you may say just about every school in the country would fire their coach to get a chance to have Urban Meyer because he wins everywhere. In colleges, not in the NFL, of course. But most elite top 25 programs, they're going to keep their coaches, right? They're just going to keep on going the way they are. That's the reason they're a top 25 program. Everything's fine. They're not looking for a new coach right now. The coaching market's a little bit tight in the top 25s, or the Power Fives, I should say. Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, they're not retiring anytime soon. And even if Jim Harbaugh were to leave to go to the NFL, there's no way Urban Meyer would go take a job in Ann Arbor. No way. So he's probably, if he wants to get back in, he's probably going to have to take a mid-level Power 5 gig. That's a fixer-upper. Okay, check. Michigan State fits that bill. But the school is about to have its sixth president in 6 years. And the AD's only been there for 2 years. So who knows if the next president's going to keep the AD. A lot of uncertainty at the top for a situation like that for Urban Meyer to walk into if he should want to go coach there. And college football has changed dramatically since the last time Urban Meyer coached just a few years ago. I mean, name, image, and likeness and transfer portals are all the rage right now. It's the new way to do college athletics. Now, I do think a school like Michigan State, they got some boosters that can help this school be very successful with name, image, and likeness. And they've been very supportive in the past for a lot of different things. And with a name like Urban Meyer, kids might be quick to just jump right into East Lansing. So the other factor here is Urban Meyer. Look, he can still recruit, man. He can still recruit. Kids go play for Urban Meyer. They know they're going to win and they're going to get to the NFL. That's what they're going to do. And when Michigan State completes its brand new $100 million football complex, they'll have the finest facilities in the Big Ten. You know, he was at Ohio State back in the day. They redid all their facilities years ago. They're kind of back down on the bottom of the food chain. Everything else is newer and shinier and bigger everywhere else. And Michigan State will have the absolute latest. Now, for a moment, let's take a look at public relations of an Urban Meyer marriage to Michigan State. Michigan State will never fully recover from the Larry Nassar sex crimes and the $500 million that they paid out to the victims. And they just fired a coach in Mel Tucker. He just got fired for alleged phone sex allegations with a sex violence victims advocate, mind you, on the other end of the phone. And did everybody forget that we all saw the phone video of Urban Meyer doing a little soft grind with a woman half his age, not named Mrs. Meyer, at his Columbus restaurant following the Jaguars' loss, in which he didn't travel home with the team and went to his restaurant instead back home in Ohio. He also failed to fire Ohio State assistant Zach Smith in a timely manner once that assistant was accused of domestic violence. So you put all those things together. Does Michigan State really want that kind of heat right now? I don't know if they do. Winning football games makes people forget about that stuff real fast. But on the surface, it seems like a bad fit. There's also the question of whether Michigan State wants to pay big bucks for a big-name coach again. Look, if they lose in court with Mel Tucker, they're going to have to write him a check for $79 million. And they seem to have buyer's remorse as soon as they signed that contract with him in the first place. At the time, it was 10 years, $95 million. Kind of felt like they wanted to get out from under that a little bit. There's some there. So, you know, if Urban Meyer goes there, it's going to be more than that. Okay, so if Mel Tucker got 10 years, $95 million, how much money do you think Urban Meyer is going to require to go there? Yeah, that's some quick math right there. Maybe Michigan State will spend a lot less and give an up-and-coming coach from the MAC, or maybe an up-and-coming coordinator, offensive or defensive coordinator, the job instead. It'd be a lot cheaper. But if they do that, Michigan State has to see what's coming down the road, right? The Big Ten isn't getting any easier. It's a tough place to win now. It's going to be harder as soon as next year. In addition to Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State, starting next year, as you know, USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon all arrive, all capable of winning the conference. So Michigan State may have no choice but to take a big swing at a big coach. And they will automatically insert the school into the national conversation if they have an Urban Meyer there. I mean, he's turned every college program around, and not only has he done that, wherever he's been, he's put them on the national stage. I mean, he's taken them to the upper levels. Utah, he's been fantastic. He's the college football whisperer. Whatever he does, it works. Plus, all those schools in the Big Ten are going to be earning between $75 and $100 million a year from TV revenues. So they're going to have the money. They're going to have the money. So right now, I still don't think Urban Meyer comes out of retirement for this job. But until then, Michigan State has a big decision to make. They're at a big crossroads at a very important time in college football. We'd love to hear what you have to say about all this. You know, you can find me on Twitter and at Talk Big Ten as well. And also here on YouTube. If you've got your comments, we'd love to hear from you on all of that. Lots to get to. We're going to look at the upcoming weekend, big schedule coming up. Plus, we've got new news on Mel Tucker. We've got new news on Pat Fitzgerald. We got some Iowa basketball, women's basketball news. So we got a lot to do. All that coming up as we continue on this big episode. Lots of stuff going on here on Locked On Big Ten. All right. Want to go ahead and tell you about LinkedIn Jobs because they're very good at what they do. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for small businesses. And you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs finds the right people for your team faster and for free. You got a hole in your lineup at the office. You need a special player. Go to LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job there. Got the purple hashtag hiring frame. And that's part of the LinkedIn profile that spreads the word that you are out there hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and eventually hire. And that's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. I want to get into some other things here. Some news going around the Big Ten, and it's all over the place here today. It's some crazy stuff. First of all, we're talking about Mel Tucker, right? And the Urban Meyer rumors at Michigan State. Well, remember, even though Mel Tucker's been fired, he still has his Title IX hearing going on from all the complaints. They had the investigation all year and it ended over the summer. The hearing of the results is right now, as we speak, during the bye week for Michigan State. As it turns out, Tucker's lawyers presented on Thursday a 106-page letter stating his accuser has made a career of misleading and manipulating people. So again, this is all about $79 million, right? Also, Pat Fitzgerald, who was fired by Northwestern over the summer because of the hazing scandal over there. He is now suing Northwestern for $130 million for wrongful termination following the school's hazing scandal this summer, which cost him his job. So wanted to keep you abreast of both of those situations as they develop. We'll get those here on Locked On Big Ten. Meanwhile, let's get into the schedule a little bit with everything that is going on this weekend. We start off tonight, Friday night football, Friday Night Lights back in the Big Ten. We didn't have one last Friday. But tonight, Nebraska, Cornhuskers are at Illinois, taking on the Fighting Illini. And the Huskers, they were just throttled by Michigan last weekend. And the Illini suffered a 25-point loss to Purdue. So both teams kind of limp into Memorial Stadium, which, by the way, caught on fire on Tuesday night in the southwest corner of the stadium, kind of away from where the seats are. So I don't think it'll be a problem if you're going to that game. But both teams come in with 2-3 records. Speaking of Urban Meyer earlier and his former school, Ohio State, they're coming off a bye. And they're ready to take on 5-0 Maryland. And the Terps feel like they're ready right now to step up and make the big three, the big four. They want to be included in the conversations, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Well, they got to win this game. Mike Loxley and Talia Tagovailoa, they want in on this Big Ten championship race. And this game is at noon on Fox. If they win this game, it's going to blow the whole thing up. We're going to have great conversations. I'll tell you that. Rutgers is off to a good start at 4-1. They head into Camp Randall with a date with Wisconsin. And the Badgers are coming off a bye. They sit at 3-1. Kickoff is at noon on Peacock, if you want to check that one out. Let's see. Also, 2-2 Howard visiting 2-3 Northwestern. The Wildcats, they've been playing better lately. They went into the locker room tied at halftime with Penn State at 10. But then Penn State ended up doing what Penn State does and won the game. But if Northwestern wins this game against Howard, they triple their win total from last year because they only won one game. And maybe the Wildcats administration starts thinking about removing the interim tag off of David Braun's coaching title and giving him the job. He's off to about as good of a start as could be expected given what he was handed. That game kicks off at 3 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. The 2-3 Boilermakers, they travel to 4-1 Iowa for a 3:30 kickoff on Peacock. And more bad news for Iowa and offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz. The Hawkeyes lost quarterback Cade McNamara this week for the season after he tore his ACL in their win against Michigan State last weekend. Deacon Hill is now the Hawkeyes' starting quarterback. And finally, the 5-0 Michigan Wolverines head to Minnesota to take on the 3-2 Golden Gophers, 7:30 game on NBC. These teams play for the Little Brown Jug. They've been doing that since 1903. We did a huge preview on this game in yesterday's podcast. So if you're on the Locked On Big Ten channel right now, just go after this. Check out the one we did yesterday if you want more in on that game and that tradition that they have there. And also on Thursday, remember this summer, the Big Ten said, all right, we got Southern Cal, we got UCLA. Here's our schedule for the next couple of years. Here's how we're going to rotate rivals and all that kind of stuff. Then literally a few weeks later, they announced that Oregon and Washington are coming. So as we knew this would have to happen at some point, they got to scrap the whole thing and do it all over again. So they've released it. We're going to dive a little deeper into this next week. So stay tuned for all that. I'll give you a sneak preview just with Oregon and Washington now. Oregon will have road games at Michigan, Purdue, UCLA, and Wisconsin. They will have home games against Illinois, Maryland, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Washington. And Washington in 2024 will have road dates at Indiana, Iowa, Oregon, Penn State, and Rutgers. And they will be home against Michigan, Northwestern, UCLA, and USC. Again, that's just a peek with those two. To redo the whole thing, and we'll give you all the details. Also, another note, for the second consecutive year, Iowa has been selected the preseason Big Ten women's basketball favorite by the coaches and also a select media panel, followed by Ohio State and Indiana to round out the top three. A separate media poll flipped Indiana and Ohio State at 2-3 behind Iowa. The coaches and the media both voted Iowa senior guard Caitlin Clark as the Big Ten preseason player of the year. No big surprise there. She is amazing, and this is the third consecutive year that the coaches have tabbed Clark for this honor. Of course, the Lady Hawkeyes start out their season November 6th, and their entire season at Carver Hawkeye Arena is sold out already. So that's a fantastic ongoing story there for sure. Also, I want to take this moment to thank all of you for checking us out. I always take a moment in the middle of the show. Everybody that checks us out, either if you're new or whether you're a regular everydayer, thank you so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button if you don't mind. It helps me out. It's free. It doesn't make any other commitment other than you get updated when we have our latest podcast that we release every morning. You can ring that bell down there too. Check that off so you get a little update notification whenever we release. You can share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And also on Fridays, live from 11 to noon is the Locked On College Football Kickoff Live show. I'm a part of that for a couple of minutes every day, previewing everything going on in the Big Ten. It's on this channel. You can find it live or afterward. It's taped, and you can find it here as well on this and every other Locked On College station on the Locked On Network. So be sure to look out for all of that. That's every Friday. It's a pretty neat program that we all like. All right, coming up, I want to get into our Pigskin picks for the weekend. Been doing fairly well. We'll take a look at the Big Ten schedule. All that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. Snap into action right now with the NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time than now to get into the football season, man. You got to jump in. You got to get in now. Got a lot of easy things to use on the app, whether it be point spreads, player props, over-unders, everything. And in fact, in just a minute, we're going to look at our Pigskin picks for the Big Ten, and got all the point spreads, over-unders, totals, and it's all brought to you the numbers right off of FanDuel. So it's very awesome and easy to use. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the rest of the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, let's get into it. And this is the fun wind down at the end of the week, right? Pigskin picks. Let's put it on the screen so you can check it out. And if you're listening on audio only, I'll be glad to try and explain that as best as I can. So I think we have 6 games this weekend, 6 games this weekend in the Big Ten. So let's take a look at it. And first on the board is we have, let's see, Howard and Northwestern. No line on that one, by the way. So we're going to go pick Northwestern. And in fact, let me just go. I got ahead of myself a little bit. Let's put this on the board. Just a recap of last week. There we go. Last week, 7-0. That's right. And again, we just do money lines on this. We just pick the winners and the losers. I give you advice on point spreads and over-unders, but I'll just keep it simple for our actual picks. So straight up winners and losers. Last week, I went 7-0. That brings us to 47-8 on this program. All right. So now let's start off here. Let's do this. Nebraska and Illinois. All right. The Illinois is a 3-point favorite at home, and the over-under is at 43 points. I think Nebraska's winning this game. Both teams are kind of like stuck in gear. They gotta gear up a little bit, and I think this is going to be a fight. I'm gonna take Nebraska to edge Illinois on the road, and this is 3-point game. So obviously I'm taking Nebraska over under. I'm gonna take the under 43. I think it's gonna be might be a little sloppy, might be a little slower game. A lot of running game attack by Nebraska's gonna slow this game down. Less time to score. Take the under 43 in this one. Maryland is at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 20-point favorite on this. This is very upsetting to Maryland. They think they belong. All right, they're undefeated. They want to come in here. They want to make a statement. I am going to take Ohio State. I am absolutely torn on whether Maryland makes this a close game or not. Well, we've been talking Maryland up all summer. Let's say Maryland hangs in there. Let's say Ohio State does not cover the 20. Okay. I do take the over on this. This game is going to fly past the number at 57. It's going to be a very high scoring game. Absolutely high, even though both teams have good defenses. But they got a lot of offensive weapons as well. Wisconsin, a 13-point favorite coming off a bye, taking on Rutgers. I think Wisconsin wins, but I have more respect for Rutgers and their defense to keep this a little bit closer than the 13. I don't like the 13-point spread here. I do like the over. I could see this being a 30-20 game, something like that. So take the over, 43.5. All right, here we go. Howard and Northwestern. As I said earlier, no line on this one. So I'll just take Northwestern for the win straight up. Purdue is at Iowa. This is going to be another phenomenal game. And I think it's an interesting game like the Nebraska-Illinois game is. I think it's going to be a battle. Purdue goes in there at Iowa. Kinnick Stadium is very tough to play there. Iowa, a 2.5-point favorite at home. I think Purdue gets the upset. Remember, Iowa without Cade McNamara, I don't know, for better or for worse, he has struggled this year, but he won't be there, so changes at Iowa. I think Purdue has a few more weapons. Now, here's the deal. This is going to be the fun part to watch on this game. Purdue's defense, despite Ryan Walters being a good defensive coach, they've given up a lot of points. I mean, they could give up like 30 points, but they're playing Iowa, which struggles to score points. So this game will tell us a lot. If Iowa is able to score a lot of points, which they don't very often, then we know we have real problems with the Purdue defense. But I'm going to take Purdue to win, and I'm still going to take the under. I always take the under in Iowa games, even though Purdue could give up some points here. Under 39. And then finally, Michigan is at Minnesota for the Little Brown Jug. Michigan, a 19-point favorite right now, and the over-under 47.5. I think that Michigan will absolutely cover this game. Michigan, I think, is 1-3-1 this year against the spread. They didn't cover a lot of games early on, but they're starting to step it up into that next gear. I think Michigan not only wins by 3 touchdowns, I think they blow by this number almost by themselves with 47. They get into the 40s on their own. So I think this game flies past the total at 47.5 points. So there you have it. Now, that's the fun part. So enjoy the games this weekend as they occur. Again, starting Friday night, and everything really gets going at noon on Saturday. Many ways for you to interact with me over the weekend. And don't forget, over the weekend, I will be doing another live broadcast of Locked On Big Ten sometime after the Ohio State-Maryland game, just a little bit after, not right after. Look for us late Saturday afternoon, early Saturday evening. We'll go live on this Locked On Big Ten YouTube channel. Don't forget, you can hit me up on Twitter anytime at Talk Big Ten, number 10. Our website is talkbig10, 10.com, talkbig10.com. And again, you can comment here on YouTube. If you have a friend or anybody, family member that is a Big Ten alum that you think they would like this podcast, please feel free to share it with them. Let them know that we are out here. That's how we grow. We also grow by you subscribing. If you just hit that subscribe button, check that bell so you get the alert. Subscribe and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every morning. Now, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast for the latest on everything else going on in sports. In the meantime, I wish you a wonderful day. Enjoy all the games. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.